gerrymandering that's happened in Richmond Hill. And I, unfortunately, I'm not afraid to continue for a full 5 minutes and repeat that same message, because we've come before you in numerous occasions and we feel like we've been completely ignored. I sincerely hope this reflects a genuine effort to listen to the communities and people impacted by your decisions. Based on my testimony today and those of my colleagues, I believe it will be fair to make further adjustments, in some cases significant adjustments, to the proposed 2012 New York State Assembly and Senate district maps. I'm Richard David. I'm a resident of Ozone Park. I'm a member of Community Board 9, and I have the privilege of being the executive director of the Indo-Caribbean Alliance, or ICA. ICA is a leading nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering South Asian residents of Indo-Caribbean origin. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We, as I mentioned, previously submitted testimony asking that this task force follow its own guidelines and keep the neighborhoods of Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park in a single Assembly and Senate district. In fact, we have 5. And by my count, in every single testimony that we've heard today, we're the winner if you're counting who has the most gerrymandered district in New York City. I'm here to inform you of the importance of keeping the neighborhood of Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park, both in Southeast Queens, significantly together in the Assembly and Senate maps. In fact, we've organized to have several residents attend the hearing here today and to demonstrate visibly before you the need that we felt for so long to have this community unified. And I'm so flattered and inspired by all of the residents and students and community organizations who have joined us in Richmond Hill United to come out and testify here before you today. I ask if any of you have actually been to Richmond Hill or South Queens. I think you'll see a lot of description that I'm going to go into. The South Asian community of Indo-Caribbean origin has the largest presence in New York City, larger than anywhere else in the world, with the exception of the Caribbean, where a lot of our people are from. These residents and their family have called the neighborhoods of Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park home since the 1960s. Today, this community contributes more heavily to the social, economic, and political vibrancy that we see in New York City than at any other time in the history of New York City. While many of you have heard of Chinatown or Little Italy, all here in New York City, we have what's been called popularly so-called Little Guyana in Southeast Queens. This so-called Little Guyana is anchored by a commercial strip that runs along Liberty Avenue from the Van Wyck Expressway to Woodhaven Boulevard. The surrounding areas between Jamaica Avenue to the north, Belt Parkway to the south, Woodhaven Boulevard to the west, and the Van Wyck Expressway to the east is an expansion of this so-called Little Guyana cultural and commerce hub. Residents in these areas attend churches, mandirs, which are Hindu places of worship, and mosques within this area. It creates a relatively homogeneous area with residents having similar education backgrounds, transportation option, and income ranges, similar to the testimony you just heard from Aminta Kilawan. This is a cohesive area where residents are networked together and families send their children to school, where they come to organizations like mine, the Indo-Caribbean Alliance, for social services like youth programs. The maps, as they're currently proposed, completely ignore these similarities. In fact, they're contradictory to those similarities. They split our area into 5 assembly districts and 2 Senate districts. It's difficult to understand the logic behind these divisions. And it's contrary to the purpose of your organization. You've made it so easy for people to label this body as a gerrymandering organization simply by looking at Richmond Hill, Queens, and South Ozone Park. How else would it be plausible that a homeowner, in the course of their shopping on a Sunday afternoon, can walk with their children through 5 different assembly districts on the way through shopping, going to the bank, and going to a park? I appeal to each of you to further adjust these maps to keep these families together in their neighborhoods. The consequences of your action, as you know and as everyone in this room know, will have a lasting impact until 2022. I will. The last time these lines were drawn, the neighborhoods were completely divided. 10 years later, the impact of those decisions are before us. We have failing high schools. We have high crime rates. And we believe there's a direct correlation between the continued disenfranchisement of residents in Richmond Hill and the social problems that we continue to see before us.
They still do. I know.
Again, I appeal to this body to adjust the proposed map to keep Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park together or significantly together. I thank you for your time and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Connor Raymond.